I have always believed the road to excess leads to the palace of wisdom. I got it bent all the way over here.
Please make your voice be heard.
And I'm leaving society to move out to the country and smoke crystal meth with rednecks.
Maybe you have a differing opinion than us. Maybe we're completely wrong, and you are the one lone person in the world that is right.
That's why you're here tonight. Eventually, me and Dave Jarvis are going to Hollywood.
But guess what? Some of us are actually pretty friendly.
Yeah, but most of us suck.
Fine, upstanding young man. Fine, upstanding young man.
Smoke weed. Thank you very much for being here tonight. Blow your brains out every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Thank you. Is that G? Got G, boom, in the chats. That's how you participate and blow your brains out in the chats. We will bring it up here on the screen and we'll laugh at you and talk about you. We'll be tacky and tasteless together always, as long as we can anyway, because I'm Ricky Warden. And I really came here prepared tonight, earlier today, to tell you I'm beat down. I need to be making money for my grandson. And I love Ariel. I love David. I love music. Like, I love music. And I enjoy helping, or in some little way being a part of helping music and musicians. But I am beat down and tired, and I'm an old man. So we really do, truly, genuinely need your support. I decided to, something changed my mind. A butterfly slapped me in the face today, like literally hit me in the face. And then it floated gently down, because I'm working outside, and landed on some wood that was in my way. I was getting ready to move it because it was just like in my way because I'm working. And I remembered that my daughter always told me that butterflies were magic when they landed on you. And this one didn't just land on me, it like poked me and landed on that wood. And I looked at that wood, and it was actually an old, like, decorative cross that had been out in the yard of the customer's house for a long time. Now it was in a pile on the side of the house. And this butterfly, not that it's significant, it didn't land on the bottom of it or on the side. It landed right in the center of that cross. And about the time I kind of put that together, that, wow, is this my daughter talking to me today? A mockingbird settled in. At my daughter's funeral, a mockingbird, while this baby was screaming the whole time during her funeral, a mockingbird slammed into the window so hard that everyone in the entire room startled. So all of my friends remember, and they, bring it up to me from time to time. Do you remember that baby was crying and that mockingbird slammed into the window? And so anyway, that baby was my grandson. And I made a decision that day to give him my life. And that's why I'm broke and poor and beaten down and tired. No other reason. I spent all my money, my life savings on him. That's why I can't afford to go to the dentist. And one of my best friends is one of the coolest dentists in the world. Assistants, anyway. So anyway, I got to talk to my daughter today. And that was a beautiful thing. Her baby is amazing. He's an angel. So thank you all very much for being here. I'm really tired. I'm going to turn it over to this lovely lady that I don't know where I'd be without you. Ariel. Thank you very much for being my friend. And the mighty and mystical Hey, motherfucking Jarvis!
Okay, well, now for something completely different. Hello, Brainiacs. This is your weekly dose of licking dark smears off your fingers and hoping to God it's chocolate. My friends, I gotta be honest, this show is the greatest honor ever bestowed upon me, and I have vomited up any thoughts of refusing it, especially because of my sour stomach from the podcast industry's poor treatment of the water buffalo. My head is swimming with fascinating stories of late trailer payments, one-eyed prostitutes, and of course, the fabled tool belt fights. Just as the Second Amendment gives us the right to bear ass, so too does the Statue of Liberty need those same huddled asses to urinate on creme fraiche. I'm hungry and I have to pee. And you know what? So be it. My grandfather died for that very same amendment. Tragically, he succumbed to throat trouble. They hung him. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. It was in the war that he met his beautiful wife, Betty. She got her looks from her father. He was a plastic surgeon. Betty and Grandpa Bob managed to work their way up from nothing to a state of extreme poverty. However, their love was eternal. Why, I once walked in on my grandparents making love, and that's why I no longer eat raisins. They begat many children, one of which was my mother. She was not quite what you would call refined. She's not quite what you would call unrefined. She was the kind of person that would steal your car and drive to Walgreens and then hitchhike home. And now you have me, a man who thinks cauliflower is just cabbage with a college education. A man who thinks purple is a fruit. A man who once answered an ad with the headline, "Intestinal Polyps Preferred." But it's like my Uncle Bruce said when he was on the lam for embezzlement. All you need in this life is ignorance and confidence, and success is certain. And here is today's clickbait. On this date in 1980, Joe Strummer of The Clash was arrested at a gig in Hamburg, Germany, after he smashed his guitar over the head of a member of the audience. He was released after an alcohol test proved negative. So remember, kids, if you're going to cave someone's skull in with a Stratocaster, do it sober. In local news, a Lancaster woman recently broke up with her man because he had a small penis. It's okay, he wasn't that into her. This just in from Nicholas Nicoletti, prog death metal band Inhalo looking for a drummer, looking for someone in North Dallas, have an album out already and partly underway writing a second, but they would like to do some shows and work with what they have for now. All right, everybody, from the Blow Your Brains Out studio in Bunghole, Texas, where a verbal agreement isn't even worth the paper it's printed on, please welcome to the stage AJ Cole. Welcome, AJ.
What's up, AJ?
Hello. How are you?
We are quite well. How are you today?
Doing all right. Happy to be here.
Wonderful, wonderful. All right, everybody, you can catch AJ at the Garland Gazette. And when she's not fulfilling her duties over there, she's also Director of Communications at the League of Women Voters in Dallas.
Oh.
So that is awesome. That yes, we always have people from the music scene and everything. It's nice to have someone that fulfills a civic duty and is actually out there on the streets making things happen.
Thank you. Yeah, I stay very busy. That is for sure.
That's good. It's a good way to be. And when AJ is not doing all of that, she's also the CEO and co-founder of Very Vigilant Ventures, safeguarding company secrets and currently holding sway over the dreaded mole people that live under the Earth's crust.
Yes, very true.
No.
Interesting way to describe it.
We like to color things around here.
Love it.
So I gotta say, recently you posted a post where you participated in a career day, and that was such a nice story. With all the negativity going around, it's nice to every now and then come across, a story like that, a beautiful story that just really melted my heart like a grilled cheese.
Yeah, I mean, the whole point of the Garland Gazette and why I started it was I primarily as director of communications and just what I've done throughout my career oftentimes is in PR, public relations, and helping get attention to artists or businesses, causes, or what have you. And I couldn't find a way to get the larger media out to Garland to cover some good things that were happening. They will come out to cover, bad things that happen, but covering artists here and the scene that's happening here, covering positive stuff is just, nobody wants to cover that. And it's a shame. I mean, I realize it doesn't go quite as viral as the bad news. People really are into SWAT standoffs. They're into city politics and the drama, but I think the positive news keeps people together.
Oh, absolutely. And it makes life, it's reaffirming, and that's what we need. Everybody's always negative or, talking smack or they're jealous or they're envious or whatever. And it's just nice to see people just being cool and trying to help other people. And that's why I really respect what you do.
Well, thank you. I think a big thing, I try to give people the benefit of the doubt to a point where I think my friends are like, why are you thinking, they're obviously doing this because of this reason and maybe people's reasons are more nefarious than they really are, but I don't think so. I think for the most part, systems, I do believe there is more positive energy out in the world than there is negative, though it really feels hard to see that sometimes. I think that's just the kind of the climate of information that we're in. So yeah, I realized I went into this thinking this is not a very popular model. There's a reason bad news is viral. But I don't care. I'm not in it for the money for this. I definitely plan to make money other ways. Money is important, but this is my passion project.
Aw, I love that.
Yo.
Well, the world needs more AJ Coles out there. But just out of curiosity, what were you able to uncover about these alleged SWAT standoffs?
Well, funny enough, the SWAT standoff that kind of kicked off, I was going to launch GarlandGazette.com later in the year. I wanted to do something where I was prepared, where I already had advertisers on board. I'd already kind of worked out some deals to make a launch happen. But then I saw Smashed a Topic was at a SWAT standoff, just around the corner from my house. And so I'm like, well, shoot, I'm just going to go drive over there. The kids are out. They're asleep for the night. I'm going to go out here and see what's going on. Meet Smashed a Topic. He's got a good following. Pretty cool. He's always at all the places. So I went over there, didn't see Smash, but he got tired after hours of being there and nothing happening. So I said, I'm going to go live. You can come over here and watch the live standoff. Well, after a few hours, maybe a couple hours, the SWAT team finally made into the building after you have to get so many approval and things, warrants, and just making sure that it's safe to enter injury. We find out the guy they were after was not even in the building. So,
What?
Yeah, they were sure he was in there, but turns out he was not in there. He must have escaped in the window that 911 was called and the time that they arrived, which wasn't a very long time, but he must have known somebody called, and he
Oh my Lanta.
he got out of there. I know people were disappointed, but I ended up, I had GarlandGazette.com was live publicly, but I wasn't sending anyone to that site, but I wanted, when I went officially live, that there would be content, news content, because I didn't want to send people into an empty site. So I already had a few days of content that I was just putting out there quietly. So it kind of took off after the SWAT standoff, and then some silly, I don't want to say silly, but there were other things that were kind of happening at the same time with the election going on, and just some deals that were going on in city council. They were just stories that I just felt compelled to get out there. So I'm still, as my former business coach would say, I have jumped out of the plane and now I am building my parachute as I fall.
That's a great analogy.
That's a great analogy. Yeah.
I love
like
that.
the pressure. I like the pressure.
I'm going to use that because usually I just say there's a dumpster fire behind me and everything is fine.
Yeah. No, the dumpster fire, that's just up above. That you have fallen out of the airplane and now you are.
I think I'll take the dumpster fire. I want to go back. Can I go back? Like,
hope you land okay. Yeah, but no, it is that my MO tends to be I just go for it, and if it's an epic failure, it's an epic failure, but I generally find ways to pivot and make things work. And I had put a lot of planning into it. It just wasn't exactly the timing that I was going for. But the information I needed, I just had to share. So here we are.
worth it.
That's awesome. Totally worth it. Well, now let's go back to the beginning. The Garland Gazette, is this your baby, or did you join it as it already was a thing?
It is my baby. There have been other newspapers and media throughout the years in Garland, the last being the Garland Texan. And she stopped writing at the end of 2024. And I decided, I was kind of contemplating the idea for a while. At the time that she had retired, her name's Kim Everett, and by the time that she decided she was done, like, I was in a different headspace at that point. I'm like, well, maybe I'll buy into a franchise. And I've been in this moment of, I want to do something different. And I really wasn't sure what that was, but something that I think Garland and the GISD community really needed was that, and it became apparent when the Garland Texan went away, is that positive news, that coverage that just wasn't happening at all. So yeah, I just went for it and created the website. I'm a marketer by trade, so I built the website. I did it all. It's just me.
Websites are no joke to build, and I purchased a website where I could start from something and not just from the ground up. So kudos, man.
Thank you. It is a theme on WordPress, so I didn't hard code anything that exciting, but you don't really need to. I felt like for the purpose of this project, like, I'm not trying to get rich off of this. It's not going to happen. Like, there's not a lot of money in local news. But I do hope that it at least sustains itself. I would like advertisers, and I would like to do community events and find those partnerships to, like, actually bring, like, I want to do like a big family picnic every year where it's like live music and barbecue and just community togetherness. But I haven't nailed that down yet, but I hope that that's
community
like
block party or something.
Yeah. Something where everybody can feel welcome to come out, and I want to kick that party. I want to be like the official launch of the Gazette, and like do it every year, like do something every year to bring people together.
That'd be dope.
Well, that would be cool.
Yeah. And it's an excuse to have a concert.
All those sources? Oh, absolutely. Are you trying to keep all those sources within Garland, or are you inviting neighboring cities into the festivities?
That's an excellent question. I mostly cover, so I call it the Garland area news, because you always get like DFW news or Dallas area news. But this is really like all of the stories, even though they might be in Plano and Richardson. I focus on GISD, which is Garland, Rowlett, and Saxe. But I also want to touch on other news. Like, there are things that happen in Dallas or Plano. Like right now I'm working on a story where it does kind of heavily talk about some things that are happening in Plano and how their business and how they conduct their business affects us in Garland. Because no one really tells that story. Like, they'll report on for instance, in November, Dallas voters voted to move municipal elections from May to November. And I think that's a great move, honestly, for Dallas especially. I think that's a good idea. I think most people, I can't stand that we have 2 election seasons. It's very confusing. And people don't come out to the May elections. So the city voted to move the elections. Well, this was I think this was supposed to be the last one that happened in May, but the other cities in Dallas County didn't know that this was a change that was going to be voted on by the city of Dallas. So now in future municipal elections, Garland and Richardson and some of the other areas in the other cities that also overlap in Dallas County, we actually have to pay now the full 100% cost, but without Dallas being a part of that budget to pay for the countywide polling. Because you can vote in any vote center, now you have the smaller cities all pooling together to open vote centers across the entirety of Dallas County, because we have our elections still in May when 75-80% of the county, Dallas, is no longer paying into that pot. So I don't know if that makes sense, but sometimes big decisions are made in these other communities that affect us, and telling that story, I think, needs to be done.
Wow. I did not know any of that.
It's a lot of nerdy stuff that I really follow, but the vote, what we vote on ends up, and the way that our city councils conduct their business. It's amazing what things can happen in neighboring cities that can bleed over into our lives. And you're like, I don't even get to vote on your city council. I don't want your city council to be impacting me, but they can.
Do you think that there should be a national election day that is a holiday and everybody, they do their civic duty? Or do you think that what we got going on is right now, it's vote when you can?
Well, I know what we've got going on right now, at least in Texas, is not working. That much I do know. And it's probably a multitude of reasons for why that is. Texas has really extraordinarily low voter turnout just anyways. These municipal elections were really disappointing in the turnout. I think Garland, we had 5.5% turnout, of registered voters, 5.5% actually came to vote on the city elections, which is really, it's kind of sad.
That's rough.
I don't know if it's just a cultural issue, for us as Texans, are we just so disengaged from the way that we conduct business that we just don't feel the need to vote? I mean, I don't know. Maybe they just feel I don't know. I'm an active voter, so I really can't fathom what goes through, that. And I think everybody has their own reasons, but
I
definitely. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, so, I just voted. I live out in Forney, and I was really hoping that a certain council person would be elected, because I knew where his stance were for developing our community or our city. And I don't think that people on certain levels realize the impact that it can have, because there are some people that are really going to fight to preserve your community. And there's others that we've had in the past in Forney where they were sorry about whatever you want, but we just sold your land. And now there's 50 Amazons out here and all this other stuff. And I mean, I don't think that people have a recollection of the importance of what's going on in their city. And it's probably because they're distracted by 8,000 things in their life, whether it's work or they have kids or their kids have so many activities. I think there's a disconnect there for a lot of people.
Oh, there's definitely a disconnect, and seeing, I think, also understanding what everyone's jobs are, and like, it is going to be a challenge. I think if when you move the municipal elections to November, the the only the only challenge I think I see in that scenario is the ballots get extra long because they're already longer in November
Mm-hmm.
anyways. And then deciphering everybody's jobs, like what do all these people do?
Mm-hmm.
On the micro level, it's really hard, I think, sometimes for people to wrap their head around
Yeah.
just how much business happens locally that affects your everyday life,
Yeah.
everyday stuff.
And you don't pay attention to it. And if you don't, you just miss it. I mean, there's been a couple elections that there's a few people that or parties that I just don't vote for because I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't know enough information to make an educated decision on who to vote for. Because I usually bring a piece of paper with me. I didn't know that you could. One of the times I brought in my phone, and I think there was like only 5 things to vote for, and like one of the names or 2 of the names were very similar. So I was like, I gotta make sure I write down the right one instead of doing a piece of paper I had on my phone. The guy was like, "You can't have your phone." And I was like, "Son of a
I
bee!" And I
know.
was like, I don't know which person it is.
I know. It's the worst. That the phone thing. I mean, I sort of understand, but it's sort of it. I also work the polls, and like I always feel so bad telling people like
Yeah,
their phone away. So I can tell they're not recording people.
yeah.
They're just on their phone mindlessly waiting in line. Like the November election was really difficult because those lines were really long sometimes, and so I just would kind of shuffle people out of the room so they could be on their cell phones and wait in line until like the very last second, because it's like just nobody wants to police that.
Yeah. You don't want to feel like the bad guy. I go, dude, can I just like it was on my notes. I just need to see who this one person is. I can't remember the name, which lady it is. And he was like, no, sorry. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm not voting for that area.
Oh,
So my mom's like, if you don't vote, that's a vote for the other person. I'm like, if I don't vote for anybody, it's a vote for nobody's. But I don't know. Just
yeah.
a
No,
good
I'm
decision.
definitely. I think I'm definitely on the camp of don't vote if you're really not sure. There's certain things that, especially locally, that can come down to just a couple votes, and you'd hate for it to go to the wrong one.
Mm-hmm.
If
No
you're not
joke.
sure.
No pressure.
Well, my opinion on voter apathy is I'm of a certain age where I was 17 when Bush versus Gore happened, and the whole hanging Chad, Florida. Did you vote for Gore or did you vote for Buchanan? And then it went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court voted that stop counting the votes, and then Gore had to concede. And as a 17-year-old who had been raised, Democrat, liberal, it seemed like the election was stolen, like right in front of our eyes. And then I turned 18, and I was the last graduating class before 9/11. So like all these things happening all at once kind of made myself, and it feels like a lot of people in my age group, we don't really trust the people in authority, and we don't trust the processes either. And that I think that might have a huge problem or a huge effect on people of a certain age, at least.
Yeah.
No, I definitely think so.
I feel that. I feel like I have more control on my local level than I do anywhere else. And not that I'm not going to vote for president or anything, but I feel like I have the most power in the city that I live in. And I live in the city. So I want to make sure that the growth is for the better of where I'm living. All my investment is into this house, and so I don't really plan on going anywhere. And so for that reason, I want my future protected here.
Yeah,
So
100%. That's one thing I try to stress, and in Garland or wherever you are, like the end of the day, if you live somewhere and you're participating in discussions about the community and how things are being done, generally that means you care, right? Like if you're caring enough to have the discussion to begin with, that's a good sign. And I always stress people, like we're not going to agree on everything. We're not going to agree on all the solutions or even agree on what the problems might be. But the important thing is we all recognize that if you're engaging in the discussion, that means you care. And that's good. Like we can work with that.
Yeah. And I think it is important too to have other people that push back on maybe some of your values or opinions, because they might bring something to light that you weren't necessarily aware about. I know that sometimes I can get blinded by certain things that I'm passionate about. And because of that passion, I choose to look like this to other things because I don't want to see anything outside of what I believe. But it's not a good way to think. I think it's really good to have other opinions, because I hate when I see people like, if you voted for so-and-so, defriend me, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, come on, man. Like, we're in America. You're supposed to be able to like vote for whoever you want and let's still be friends, because clearly we're friends. We never have an issue, but now all of a sudden there's an issue. Creating an issue where there's no issue.
That is a hard one for me, because like in some ways I understand the people who are like, I need to protect my peace. Sure. Like there are some people who cannot help themselves sometimes, but like hop on, even you're not political. You could be talking about, rainbows or whatever in the sky that you saw after the rainfall. And then all of a sudden it gets sideways because your auntie saw it and she's like, certain type of way. So she's got her big opinions, and then you're like, oh my God, you're out at dinner and you don't even realize what's happening on your Facebook page, and you're like, Yeah. So sometimes I can get why they do that. I was off Facebook for 5 years. I got off. I deactivated, deleted it all because I didn't want to tell people that, I needed to decompress and like get in the headspace to have those respectful conversations with people. Because if you want people to change their minds, unfriending them and closing the conversation is not gonna help with that.
Yeah. No, absolutely not.
Yeah, Ariel brought up a good point. I'm curious. Is there a lot of good diplomacy between all sides at the local level?
I think on most business discussions, yes. I think it is a more amicable conversation. Even when there are disagreements, there are definitely personalities that I think don't clash sometimes locally. Not just and this is every local government in the area that I observe. There's these personalities that just will clash, and you can kind of see it sometimes in city council meetings or work sessions or other business. But I would say for the most part, there are big opinions, but I don't see a lot of like nastiness. I think some people think it's nasty, but I've seen nasty politics, and I don't find what happens here to be that vicious or I don't know, anything unusual,
This is going to sound terrible. I always say this to people. I'm one of those people, I care, but I don't care. Like, I really genuinely do care about the well-being of individuals. I do care about the well-being and the direction of where my life is going, where the world is going. But I also don't care enough. Like, if we have different opinions, I'm not going to be like, oh, that sucks, blah, blah, blah. I just don't care. Like, I like that you have a different opinion. Awesome. We don't see eye to eye. I don't care. But it's not because I don't value you. I genuinely just, it's not a big deal to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I think and many ways, I envy that. I'm one of those people that, and I only recently found out that I was on the spectrum. So I don't let things go sometimes. But like, I'm not trying to be argumentative. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just like, how do you think this way? You know?
Yeah.
Like, I'm genuinely trying to understand people's brains. Meanwhile, they probably think I'm arguing with them. But I think there is value in being able to just respectfully say, you know, we're not going to agree. That's cool.
Yeah.
Move on to another conversation.
Yeah. So how about the rainbows?
Yeah, right.
I mean,
So I'm sorry. I got to ask, as the director of communications at the League of Women Voters in Dallas, do people argue with you often?
no, you know, and I've been down to Austin, you know, to lobby, and even I mean, maybe they think we're arguing, but I don't think so. I've had people have on various sides of the aisle comment on, they can have a discussion with me. Like I want to understand, you know, your thought process. And I mean, yeah, I'm definitely going to compel, and I'm going to ask you some hard questions and maybe challenge why you're thinking this way. But I always try to do it in a way that gives them the space to have their opinion, if that makes sense. So, no, I wouldn't say I've had any arguments, but that may not be the case. That they may be feeling otherwise, and I just don't even realize it, which is possible.
Well, you seem to have a very amiable tone. So I bet even when you get your point across in a forcible way, it's still quite nice to hear.
I really try hard on that, and I don't know if it's just years of in high school, and I tell every teenager or about to be teenager, I said, if you have the opportunity to do speech and debate, do it. It will make you a much more convincing I would say that really helped me overcome a lot of challenges with my parents, with bosses, with, you know, making things move in the direction you want them to move. So years of speech and debate, maybe that's what it was. I have no idea.
Oh, absolutely. Speech and debate and reading anything that gets into your hands. That's my philosophy.
Oh, yes. Big reader. That's I worked in the library in high school, so did my husband. We were IB nerds. And I didn't know him when I was in high school. I grew up in Indiana. He was born and raised here in Garland. But we lived very similar teenage years.
That's adorable.
That is awesome, man. And now you are your own boss, not just with Garland Gazette and the League, but also with Very Vigilant Ventures. Tell us about this company of yours.
Yeah, so Very Vigilant started as a tech platform to screen and disseminate mis and disinformation, like see what is being spread out there, mis and disinformation. It ended up being more of a umbrella company, quite frankly, because of the way that the tech was moving in this administration. I made a pivot because cybersecurity and the type of work that I was looking to accomplish through this project was no longer a priority, which is scary in its own self. But now I just try. One thing I do for my own, I guess, mental health is to stay away now from national news.
Smart.
So I focus locally to just keep, you know, I can, as you said, this really is what you can influence. Your local issues, your local business, you have a lot more influence there. And if you can make change on a local level, then do that. So that's kind of where I've been focusing. So Very Vigilant is the parent company to Garland Gazette. Everything runs out of Very Vigilant. Because in a lot of ways, I wanted Garland Gazette to be a more authentic view of what's happening in Garland, which maybe it's just my outlook on things, but I really think more things positive are happening here than negative. So I hope that shines through.
Well, you know, building an empire is never an easy chore, but I think that you are well on your way. So I got to ask, is 100% customer satisfaction?
Yeah, I mean, so far we're still very new. So I've had people reach out with questions. I think the funniest one was maybe a week or so ago. I had, the website wasn't supposed to be live, wasn't supposed to be like fully launched yet, and somebody reached out and they're like, "Who is this editor of Garland Gazette? It doesn't say anything about who they were." And I'm like, you know what, you're right. And so I fill it out and put my information on there, and it was like I called and I left a voicemail and I was like, it's just me and I'm not associated with the city of Garland or anything like that. I'm just reporting on all things that are happening in GISD area. And he was very sweet and ended up like adding me on LinkedIn and was like, you're doing great.
I thought that was going to go the opposite direction. I was going to say, some people, man, they just want something to complain about, and I guess they found it.
Yeah, I was at first a little nervous, and I've had a few like tense reach outs of like, who is this? Are you associated with the city? And I'm like, no, right now I don't even have a business address. I'm looking for space to have an official address and all of that, but the launch hasn't happened officially yet. So later this summer, early fall, all of those things should be buttoned up. But I appreciate the community reaching out, and it's crazy that they're even finding it. But it's being shared already, so I guess the secret's out.
That's good. Just keep checking along.
I try to write at least 3 articles a day. That's like my goal. Nothing crazy, but I am a one-man show right now, so 3 articles a day is about all I got in me.
I don't even have
that. That's
that
incredible. That's absolutely incredible. Now, for the launch, are you thinking like a mix of different kinds of music, or do you have any favorite bands from the Garland or that the Plano Richardson area that you like and that you keep tabs on?
Well, I definitely know couple things. I want to work with the Tiny Stage because I know there are quite a few artists that come through the Tiny Stage that have been phenomenal. I would love to see Jenny Lamps. I just talked to Matthew Banks earlier today. I would love to get him out there. He does a lot with the city. Let's see. You've got, I have a whole list of people that I've been thinking about kind of like curating. And also DJ Raspy, would love to get her in here as well, because I think kind of between some of the sets, having some other music kind of play. I don't know, maybe working with getting 88.1 Indie out here. I don't know if they do any events or things, but I would love to get them out this way because I listen. That's a radio station. I still listen to the radio. I do stream, but I am still listening to the radio.
88.1, is that the jazz channel?
No, it's actually the indie rock channel, and I don't know if I wouldn't go as far as rock. I mean, sometimes they play alternative too, but it's mostly indie, and it's is it UNT's radio station? I might be saying that wrong.
Yeah, that's the one. Okay,
yeah.
I guess whenever I tune in, they're playing jazz. Okay, so they play a mix. I like that.
Yes, I think it's all, unless it's like really obscure hours. I think it's all indie now, and no commercials. But it doesn't always the radio doesn't always work all over DFW. So sometimes it'll like go in and out. But I'm a dedicated listener to 88.1.
So is that the channel that you listen to get pumped up before you have to give like a big speech or you have to give a presentation?
No, I do also stream. I have a playlist, CEO of Destruction slash disturbance, which is a funny story behind that. But yeah, I listen to a lot of mixed like female rage music. Like that's generally what I'll listen to. Like,
Yes.
You know, got to get that rage out there. So I have a couple playlists on there that's just like all like riot. It's a mix of like punk, pop, screamo, rap. Like it's got everything on there, but anything that like induces that adrenaline rush.
Yeah. So do you have a top 5 or even a top 10 artists that will always get you charged?
You know, artist wise, I can't say that I have a specific artist that charges me up. Like there are certain songs like that really will charge me up. Better on Mute by Sophie Powers. Like I love that song. That is one that can like really get me going. Seeing Red, Chevelle, like that's still like one of my Oh my god, I had the biggest crush.
I love Chevelle. My favorite song is Safer Waters, and no joke, I sent them an email a couple of weeks ago and I was like, hey, I know that Safer Waters is not a popular song. It's on your old album, but would you please play it just for me? No email back, but that's okay. I did it anyways. You never know. Shoot it out there. I was really drunk when I wrote it, so I have no idea if I misspelled anything. Probably did. That's the only time I have courage is like, I'm going to do this.
Yeah. Well, shit, maybe they will. You never know. Yeah. You never know what they see, you know? So I think it's worth it. Put it out there. Never know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. And if they play it, I will scream and I'll probably cry a little bit because
I would cry. Yeah. You tell me if it happens, I will cry from afar. That's amazing.
It excites me.
Yeah. So I mean that's true. And honestly, the all of the latest Linkin Park. I'm pretty into the new Linkin Park lead singer. So she hits like all the notes. I mean, it's insane. Her vocals, I just like can't even. Like in my car, I definitely try. But like I'll lose my voice for like a week. So the fact that she can like keep belting out, oh my gosh, like how do you even do that without losing your voice? That's skill.
Practice, man, practice.
Yeah, I have a coworker that went to the Halsey Evanescence concert over the weekend, and he said that it rained just at the perfect moment, and he said it was a fantastic concert, and all I could think was Halsey and Evanescence. Interesting.
What the combination? Oh yeah, I mean I listened to Evanescence not long ago. Actually, the album that I just had to have as like a freshman in high school. Maybe I might have been in middle school. I can't remember, but I remember buying the CD at Kmart when Kmart was still around. And
wow.
Yeah, and I would just listen to that CD over and over and over again. And my mom. My mom would just equate it to the sound of a dying cat. And I'm like, that was probably me. That was just me. I love Evanescence. So still on my rotation.
I love Evanescence. We jammed her in the car on the way back from the show this past weekend. And I saw her live when it's not Jexa anymore. But I saw her when she was out with Lindsey Sterling.
Yeah.
And they did so good, but the sound on the lawn was shit. Like everyone left when Evanescence came, like halfway through Evanescence set because it was so echoey. There was no voice. I was like, man. But she was so beautiful in her vocals from what you could, like if you got closer to where the seats were, the sound was more rounded. But damn.
Yeah, didn't do her justice. Super talented. At one point when I was young, not that I'm not young, but like much younger, I worked for an alternative rock radio station out of Chicago, and would get to go to a lot of if there was a concert in the area, I would get 2 tickets to go to the concert, and it was usually like really good seats, sometimes even backstage. And just having that experience with some of these artists, like I never even realized the production that went on behind the scenes. And I just remember just being such an eye-opening and like profound experience to see these artists so up close working their craft. And at that point, it, you know, goes from just being, you know, a help on the radio to, wow, I'm seeing full scale. Like, I got to see Chevelle at that point. You know, that was very like exciting for me because I had a major crush. But I think it changed my life forever. And I knew that helping artists in some way was always something that was important to me, and kind of brings me full circle to the Gazette. I think Garland has some really amazing rising. I don't even want to say rising artists. Like, there are rising artists here that are amazing, but artists that have been doing this for a long time that are significantly talented, not just in music, but in art and other arts. And I want to just like talk about that. I love this stuff.
Now we're talking. All right. Yes, you have cut to the meat and potatoes of the matter. Tell us some great, amazing Garland artists, whether they're music, art, poets, whatever. Give us the lowdown.
So I had a really great conversation with Matthew Banks earlier today, and Matthew is a multi-talented musician. Grew up, born and raised here in Garland, and he's a clarinet first, but he can play flute, bassoon, oboe, and like multiple different sizes of these instruments. And as he was sharing some of what he does, so he also is a Music Made Here musician for the city sometimes, and does a lot for the city of Garland's cultural arts, different concerts and things. But he also does musicals, and I had no idea. And I have been in plays and theater and all of that as a youth, but I had no idea that the musicians that were there in the pit were sometimes playing anywhere from 3 to maybe 5 instruments in a jump. Like, I know they're switching from different instruments. I'm like, how do you even do that? Because, like, first of all, wow, it's like switching languages, right? Like everything you're doing, from holding to like all of that is different, and you have to remember which note is what. Like, my mind was blown. So he loves doing musicals, loves performing, but the skill that must take, I can't even imagine how your brain can allow you to do that so quickly and switch from one instrument to the next. So that was pretty incredible to hear. I didn't even realize what went into that. And then another artist that I recently spoke to, Jenny Lamps, is a GISD kindergarten teacher, but she is also a super incredible rapper. I'd actually heard her on one of our city councilwoman's Facebook videos. She had recorded her. I think she was live streaming, and I heard her rhymes, and I'm just like, whoa, she is super talented. Not only does she have stage presence, but she has just such an amazing flow. And it immediately, I'm like, I got to talk to her. And then I didn't even know she was a teacher at the time. And then she's telling me, she's like, I teach, but I also, you know, I'm doing all these shows. And her students kind of know. She even writes music for her kindergarten class, like remembering how to do things and directional music and all of that. But she actually just, I mean, is an incredible writer. First and foremost, she's working on a children's book, and just really, I think, going places as a writer too. She wants to write music for other people. So yeah,
cool.
I think it's really cool. Just there's a lot of art happening here.
That is incredible. I want her on the show.
What's up, Meagan? We've been listening to you. Actually, my friend is from Garland. We're in Garland right now. This is Mongo.
Hey!
Michael.
Look
Hi.
at your Garland right now.
I'm a Garland boy,
Rock,
yeah.
rock at you.
It's true, Mongo Claus from Garland, Texas.
Hey, Mongo.
So nice
Good
to
see
meet
you, bro.
you.
Nice to meet you. It sounds like you do some pretty important things for the city of Garland.
I'm trying.
Good job.
There you go.
It's been fun. I mean, this is for me getting to meet the artists, I enjoy the art side of it. I enjoy following, the city council business and all of that. And just, I'm kind of nosy anyway. So the more I know about our community, the better. So I enjoy it. I enjoy covering it.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. It's nice to have nice people that work for the city that want to help, like local artists and local people. That's kind of what I'm about too. I love that. And all these guys on Blow Your Brains Out, that's what they're about. So that's really cool.
Yeah, I love highlighting the local stuff, and I do think that that's really important. So I appreciate you guys for all that you're doing to highlight the local artists. I mean, this is amazing.
Well, thank you.
Well, we love having amazing, wonderful guests such as yourself. And I got to say, if every guest was like you, this job would be way easier.
There you go.
Thank you.
So have you been
All right.
over to see so since you're from Garland and you work there in Garland, do you go over there when Jimmy Wallace played the stages, the shows there in the square?
I go to the square often enough. So I just live here. I don't work for the city. I just decided to start GarlandGazette.com because the Garland Texan, Kim Everett, had retired at the end of the year. And so I said, it was a noticeable change for me, at least, when the Garland Texan went away, that I didn't think that enough positive news was coming out. And it just felt like people were getting down again on Garland. And I decided, you know what? I'm just going to go for it. We're going to launch this. We're going to cover the good stuff. Yes, I'll cover some bad stuff too, but I'm not going to dwell on the negative. I think there's a lot more positive that happens here than there is negative. And especially with the art scene, I don't feel like our artists get enough attention for the amazing work that they're producing here. And maybe they are, maybe I just didn't see it in the right avenues, but I want to help get it out. So that's kind of just what I'm working on now. And I hope to do more, not just in the square, but around town, and bring more art and music around the different pockets in Garland, because we are kind of spread out. I love the square, though. You'll catch me down there at least once a weekend nowadays.
Right. That's a nice place. And it's old guitar player from my band, Hillbilly Orchestra. His grandfather's J.P. Miller, they have a J.P. Miller Day down there at the square. He was a bluegrass player, real famous cat. But there's been a lot of famous people come out. What was her name? I think Leanne Rhymes or whatever. I think that was there at the old theater. Basically, there's been a lot of people come out of this area that's really number one in their field. You know what I'm saying? Real highly regarded people. Like I said, Jimmy Wallace. The guitar show every year. That's the guy who throws it. It used to be him and another guy named Bugs Henderson. But they've always been over in Garland area. The Arlen Morgan Music used to be over there on Garland Road. It was right next door to Garland High School. So, I was a South Garland boy, so we'd go there to race hell all the time, and come back and tool around that part of town, in our cars and stuff, especially when, we started getting older and getting into bands and them kind of things. But yeah, used to be a store cable TV there in Garland, and my band back in them days called Diamond. We were one of the first people to ever make a video out of Garland. And we entered into the MTV basement tapes, and we made it second place. So a band beat us out that was called For Reasons Unknown. So that was back when that music started, and we were like a rock and roll band. So, but yeah, being from Garland, man, a lot of people from Garland, man, that become pretty famous over the years.
Yeah.
The one thing though, I was thinking about this the other day. Charlie Pride used to live there in Garland, like right down the road from where I grew up. And I got to know his son Dion pretty well, and Dion was a killer guitar player. So, when we were kids, we were all like, "Hey, man, we're jamming with Charlie Pride's son, Dion." And, it just so happened that the dude could play some Jimi Hendrix like out of this world. But he was just, a great guy. I remember those days, or even back in them days when I was a child, there were stars always in Garland. There were, somebody a star. They're about in the midst of it all going on. But yeah, growing up there in my life, it's kind of like it's suburb of Dallas, but police had a really good reputation for themselves back in the day, and so not many people went to Garland if they didn't, if they weren't right with the law, they would get in trouble. So it was kind of like good and bad going on in Garland all the time. But yeah, since then, nowadays, Garland to me is like it's almost, just a mini Dallas pretty much. So, I enjoy going back into the neighborhood and stuff over there though all the time and seeing how it's changed. But yeah, the rock and roll and the music that's come out of that area, I grew up, in the 70s there. And in the 80s, when I graduated high school, I'd already, was in bands and all that stuff. And I started going to college at Cedar Valley, and then I moved to Hollywood with a bass player named Jack Blades, and playing with a little side project that he had. And I learned some valuable lessons in California and brought them back with me to Dallas and Fort Worth. And, I made a pretty good name for myself and had a good time doing it. And I love all the people that supported me all the times that I've had. I still have some good ones that, like this Hillbilly Throwdown that's coming up. It's, it's based around that idea of everybody getting together and loving one another and having a good musical time, and swimming and
Family,
family,
friends.
Family, God, and country. Come on.
That's right.
But the deal is I think that in the times that we live in now and the things that we're all going through, we all need each other, man. That's a definite fact. And we all need to learn how to rely on each other and lean on each other, to be able to get to the places that we all need to be. And, let's just say
Most
now
definitely.
it's definitely a challenge to maintain some sort of civility out of what's going on, and to still be able to go look each other in the eye and love one another, And so, yeah,
Yeah.
Go ahead, man.
See, that's why I think that this whole panel that we have together tonight is great, because we've all lived and traveled and we've seen a greater part of the country. So we're not just from this one little pocket, and all we know is this little pocket.
Right.
We've ventured out. We've seen how other people live, and it's great when you get out of that screen and you get on the road and you go to a different area code or a different township or a different county, and you find out that people live completely different than you do. And it's heartwarming to drive into like a small mountain town in like Portland, Oregon, and find out that none of them have internet and they all get along, and that's beautiful, man.
Right.
It's true, man. Very true.
I mean, AJ, you come from Chicago and Indiana. Like, was there a huge transition besides the weather down to Garland?
Well, I first moved to Texas. I lived in the Houston area, and I lived there for, I don't know, 7 or 8 years before we moved up here. And I definitely went through a period of hating Texas. I still,
you're in Houston.
you know, I found love for Houston. Like, there is amazing food. It's cheaper. I like almost everything is cheaper down there for some reason. And then you come up here, and I lived in Dallas for the first year while we were looking for a house. And my husband had always really talked so fondly of GISD and his experience going through GISD. So we decided, maybe Garland, like if we wanted to be like near the lake, White Rock Lake would be great. But also, like, do we have a few $1 million laying around to live next to White Rock Lake? No. So let's go. And we ended up finding a house here in Garland that actually has like a pond behind it. So
Yeah.
I have beavers. I have a beaver right now who's trying to cut down an oak tree. Unsuccessfully. I don't think he's going to get it down, but
You'll find that true a lot here in this part of Texas. A lot of beavers and beaver dams and stuff.
And nutria rats, actually.
yeah. Oh, we have everything, but we have beavers, river otters, great blue herons, green herons, the owls. We have yellow-bellied water snakes. I've got an 8-foot long one that goes through my yard every so often. I mean, like, I have cool wildlife here, so I'm
great.
Happy.
That's good. That does make for peaceful times.
Absolutely.
Great, man.
Have you named any of the critters?
What's that?
Have you named any of the otters?
No, I have not named them. That's a great idea, though. We really should start naming them because there are little babies every so often.
I'm sorry, Mongo, what were you saying?
Say it again.
I was saying, I'm sorry, Mongo, I interrupted you. What were you saying, sir?
I was just saying that, when you live with a bunch of critters around always, it's a peaceful feeling. Then when you start naming them, it's all over with. Start naming them, they become your kids.
We've adopted a cat that way. The cat lived in the creek behind the house, and then he just wandered into the house one day, and he's been in here ever since. And we've got chickens on the way. We've got a couple of bunnies, 3 hamsters, a dog. We have a zoo.
That's good.
That's awesome. It's just a Disney cartoon everywhere you go.
There you go. Come on. What was that? Somebody to die, symphony day. My, oh my, what a wonderful day.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's Mr. Bluebird on my shoulder. It's a fact you can't deny. Yeah, man. Disney cartoons.
I remember that cartoon.
See, I grew up.
It's our baby one.
I'm 61 years old, man. So, and I've been around the world. You know what I mean? But it's like there's few things in my mind that absolutely stand out to just be, good old gut laughing humor. And a lot of them are those old, like Looney Tunes cartoons, all the old stuff that we used to when we grew up as kids. That they don't let kids watch nowadays because they get in there.
They got canceled
and beat the hell out of each other. It was always fun to wrestle after you watched wrestling on Friday night. That was another thing about Garland, Texas.
I think Speedy Gonzalez got deported.
Yeah. Whoops. Well, so the hillbilly thing coming up, man, is going to be a lot of fun.
Right.
That's right. Yes.
I got some wristbands and stuff. So anybody needs it, hit me up.
That's right. For everybody that is listening, we are talking, of course, about the Hillbilly Float Fest that will be happening on May 31st. It will be out in Santos, Texas. Just a day
there's
or
no
a
S
whole
on
week.
that. There's no S on the end.
Santo.
Oh,
Like
Santos. There's only
Santo.
one. Okay.
Santo.
So, okay, so it doesn't have any siblings. Okay, very good.
Oh.
The one and only Santo. That's right. It's the fifth stooge.
It's a loner.
But it's going to be a great day of floating and camping and hanging out with good people and an amazing lineup of music, including, but not limited to, Cody Joe Pope, Clickbait, Cortez, and of course, Mongo and Company. So I would say reserve your table, your tent, your tree, whatever you get into, and set up camp, and be sure to tip the otter
band.
that is serving you river water.
River water's good for you.
Yeah, it's great. It's good for the hair and skin. Added minerals, omegas,
Right.
fatty acids. It's all up in there.
Yeah, you can find
Soak
it
it in.
at your neighborhood Kroger.
Soaking
It's
it
right
up.
next to the Monster energy drinks.
Get grounded. Get in the river and get your shoes off. Get your feet on the bare ground. It's nice, like really pretty grassy, well manicured campsite.
Very nice camp place. I mean,
There's no stickers. There's nothing like it's beautiful. Well carved out.
It's got a big old pavilion out in front of the stage too that you can get underneath it. It's if the sun.
If you want to dance.
But there is plenty of shade and there's lots of trees. It's beautiful there. It really is. Like she said, it's really well maintained. And this is what, the fifth?
This is the fifth Hillbilly Throwdown.
So yeah, been doing that for a while and thinking back on it, was fun.
Every single year.
Yeah,
every year.
We've had good times. Seems like every year we always meet new friends, new people.
Yes. And new amazing original artists. And this year we have like the best Bad Company tribute in all of Dallas, Breaking Bad Company. And they are good. They're really, really professional and tight. And
close your eyes, it's Paul Roger on stage. Come on.
Look out.
So, dang, what have you been doing with it?
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
What you been doing, man?
What have I been doing? Pretty much every weekend, if I'm not working on this podcast and trying to book gigs and book guests, I'm either in the studio or I'm working with Mike Lambert from Rivethead to make music videos. Let's see. I dropped my 5th album in March. I got another one on the way next February, and I got a bunch of singles that I'm working on. I'm working on a remix with the track that I did with Shade from Here For Now. I'm hoping to get Abigail from Awaiting Abigail on another track. So if I'm not working at the warehouse, I'm trying to do something that I actually enjoy. And if I'm not doing that, I'm reading, which I still absolutely enjoy. Mostly, I'm reading this one book called Known, where it's basically it doesn't matter if you have 3 million followers. If none of them listen to you, then they are all for naught. And the fickle world that is online. And they gave a great example. This one time, Alyssa Milano told everybody, all of her 3 million Twitter followers, to read a particular book. Nobody bought it. And it proved that even though she has an audience of 3 million, they were worthless, basically. Yeah. Meanwhile, a lady that was just working in her own community, she had 25 followers in all of her social medias, but every one of them cared enough about her to get the word out. So it's not the quantity, it's the quality of the crowd that follows you.
Absolutely. Well said, David.
Totally true, girlfriend.
Ricky, why are you being so quiet? Where you at?
He's a little tired. You know, he's had a rough one.
Aw.
He's probably, you know, he needs some me time.
Okay.
He needs some. Oh,
Relaxation is good for the
I hear
body.
music. Hmm.
You can hear him saying.
What is that? What is that
That's what I
heavenly
call it.
glow?
That might be the Breaking Bad company that got sent in. That's what we live in.
I hope Universal Music doesn't get upset at this. Oh yeah.
Always on the run. Destiny is a rising sun. Oh, I was born 6 gun in my hand. Behind the gun, I'll make my final stand.
Is that Jimmy?
That's why they call me.
That's me.
Hey.
Good evening.
Hi, Jimmy. How are you?
Fine, how are you?
Quite well. Welcome to the party.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're just hanging out. We're talking about the Float Fest. We're talking about the ins and outs of Garland politics, you know, because they go hand in hand.
No, we're talking about the positive things in Garland. Okay.
Oh,
On
yeah.
the pot.
Yes, that's right. We were talking about all the famous, amazing talent that has come out of Garland. And may I just say, personal shout out, my mom was also from Garland. So Garland holds a special place in my heart.
Yes, sir.
Right, rightfully so.
Yeah. I think her high school, they're the Owls. Are they still the Owls? Garland High School. The Owls. Yeah. Yeah. She's got. Yeah. I have a 1966 Owl's Nest yearbook in my living room right now.
Whoa.
That's cool. Yes, sir.
As soon as she graduated, she
got
the hell out of Texas.
Yeah.
Went straight to California, and then she was like, "Ooh, this is not my place. Coming back to Texas." And she brought me along, and here I am. Been here 35 years. You know what? I've been back to California because I was born in California. Spent my first 7 years there. And I've gone back to California several times, and I got to tell you, those people do not operate on the level that I grew up on. And good people, wonderful people, but you know, it's like Bill Withers said. You know, eastern cities move too fast. You know, L.A. they operate. I don't know. There's I don't know. It's a spiritual thing. It's a cosmic thing. I can't understand, but you know, I just I love the people in Texas, and having spent almost 4 decades here, it is my home. You know, regardless of where I was born.
For sure.
Texas is definitely a country of its own.
That's right. When we could secede, we can still secede.
Yeah.
Just playing. Who's with me? Let's go. Anyways, Jimmy, what's up? You guys, Breaking Bad company in the house.
Yes.
The beautiful music that you were hearing, that was this man right here.
Well,
oh, very cool.
On guitar.
I had a small part in it. We also have another guitar player who's absolutely fabulous as well.
Right, right.
But yeah, that was my solo. Yeah.
Oh.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
So everybody, you can catch that and others on May 31st at the Float Fest. Get your tickets now, get your wraps now, and make sure that you have aluminum cans because glass can create a problem.
That is correct.
Hey, who is
That's
that?
right. Look at that. Look at that lineup right there, man. The trespassers alone is worth the price of admission. If anybody out there,
Yeah, it is.
anybody out there hasn't heard, the Trespassers are an amazing band that you really should check out at least once in your life.
All these bands are good. Every single one of them.
Oh. Is that the siren sounds of Adam Hawley?
It's a killdozer coming to get you.
Yeah, right.
I seen a guy yesterday on the internet. He bought the lid off the killdozer. The one that they actually cut off the top
Really?
of it and pulled the dude out of it. He bought it off the internet.
Dude,
I was like,
how much?
sucker.
How much did he pay for that?
What was really weird is he lined it up and had bullet holes and bullet marks, all kinds of crap on it. Pretty wild.
Dude, with the amount of damage that killdozer did, you could buy a house right next to White Rock Lake.
Come on.
There you go. Now you know your way out, AJ. That's how you're gonna get your home.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Right. Just fortify a bulldozer. You'll be good.
I got me a killdozer. I'm coming after you. Mm-hmm. So, you know that you're gonna get up in the way of my killdozer. Wreck it. What'd you have to do that for? You ran over the whole town. What happened to you? I guess
I know, right?
he was a pretty pissed off bubba.
It happens to the best of us.
Nowadays, that's it. Nowadays, it's easy to come to that conclusion.
Oh, yeah. Oh, most definitely. AJ, I just got a couple more questions for you, and then if you need to go, feel free. But I was curious for all of the people out there listening, what are some good venues in Garland? Music venues. It doesn't matter, genre.
Great question. I'm a big fan of Intrinsic. There's a really nice stage there outside. It's very industrial but cozy. There's it's covered. At least the stage is. I do think weather can kind of affect that though, so that is kind of a challenge. Yeah. But Dead Wax Records just opened up, and they've got a stage going at the back of the store that I know that they just used for the first time this last weekend for the Willie Nelson tribute event that was going on. And then there's also, well, the arcade is the arcade's leaving, so that is moving out. I don't know what's going in its place, but you also have the tiny stage at Be Hippie, and I think that's like a really good ongoing venue. But it's impacted by weather too. A lot of our venues are weather conditional. That's kind of a challenge, but I think as the scene continues to evolve here, I hope that there's more spaces. I keep envisioning this. Once upon a time in Chicago, there was this place. I don't even know if it's still open. I would imagine so, but this was well before COVID years. So, everything kind of changed after COVID. But there was this bar called Exit. It was very like punk, grunge, really fun after hours kind of bar. And there would be live music. A lot of different bands would come through there, but I want to see something like that in Garland. Maybe it's too edgy for Garland, but I don't think so. I mean, I think there's a need for something indoor. I envision like writing on the walls, just like the place to go and hear some good stuff. we're going through the evolution of change here. So I think a lot of our venues right now are just kind of outside, indoor, outside, inside, outside kind of venue spaces is pretty much what we've got going for the most part, but they're fun.
Very
So do they
cool.
not do anything
For
with the
those,
pizza place anymore?
What was that?
Do they not have bands at the pizza place over there in the square anymore?
So the pizza place is still there. And I do think that I think they set up. I've never seen any music over there, but I'm sure that they have.
I played there a couple of times.
Did they have a state? Were you outside or inside?
No, I was inside.
Oh,
like a little corner in the floor over there.
Okay.
Yeah, and then there was another bar down there in the square too that was on that corner, the opposite corner.
The tavern, yes.
Yeah, the tavern. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I played there a couple of times too.
Yes. Well, and you've got, and I wanted to mention too, you've got the Garland Square Pickers.
Yeah.
I think it's every Saturday night. They come out to the square, and it is the coolest experience. If you're out late on the square, and you're just, it's, where else are you going to hear that, and it's so late at night, it's just so cool.
Yeah, it is. It's really it's quite interesting too. And if you're a musician, don't be fearful of it, but take your guitar, go down there.
Get to busking.
And those people they'll teach you things that you don't know. And they'll show you how to play along with them, and they'll invite you to play. It's some of the funnest times that I've ever had playing any kind of bluegrass music or anything like that. Down there in the square with, all the people down there, and they always are real heartwarming and real good, fine folks. That's a lot of fun. It definitely is. If you never got the chance to experience it, it's definitely experienced, because you just walk from one side of it to the other in the little park there, and music's going on everywhere. Everybody's got like a little clique going on, It's really
so
cool.
It is. Like, the only other place that I can kind of compare it to is New Orleans. I mean, it's like, that is, it really is. It comes alive on the weekends, especially, and just hearing that, wherever you walk through the square, there's kind of music going on all around. It's really cool.
Yeah.
That's nice.
It's actually nice too, the park and stuff. I mean, it used to be really like run down, and everything, but they've renovated that whole downtown sector there. That's, the jail and all that stuff used to be down there, right there off of that one street, right across the street from the electric company there. But, since they moved it over there off of, Forest Lane over there, they renovated all of that downtown area now, and it's really good, and the parking is good. And the parking's free. That's another thing. Unless, except for events and things like that. But for the most part, it's a lot of fun. It's family, good, wholesome stuff. You take the kids and everything. It's a lot of fun.
That's what we're about too.
So yeah, I'm it's Mr. Bill's show. Come on.
Sorry, bud. And then finally, AJ, I want to ask you a question that I ask of all of our guests, and take as long as you want. AJ Cole, how would you like to be remembered?
Ooh, how would I like to be remembered? That's, I guess, that's a really good question. I guess I would just hope that my kids actually
there you go.
Always question, I don't want them to question, their whole existence, but I want them to be able to question authority and have the confidence to do so. And if they can do that, then that is remembering me, because I buck authority a lot.
That's good, sir. That's really good.
That is wonderful.
That's good to hear.
Thank you.
So, hey,
Absolutely.
do you release the Garland Gazette, like the little packaging? It's a standing applause.
I didn't hear your question.
What did I ask?
Oh, he
All
asked
right.
if you released it, but you edited it, right? The Garland Gazette.
You released the
edited it?
Garland Gazette in like in the restaurants and stuff.
Oh
It's
no, the GarlandGazette.com. It's only online, so it's
Okay,
just
I got you.
I do about anywhere from 1 to 3. I strive for 3 articles a day about things that are happening in Garland.
Cool.
Yeah, so right now it's just me solo, but I do hope to grow it because yeah, I definitely need help. I can't do it alone.
Well, hell, we'll spread the word for you. Come on.
Thank you, appreciate
Hey, you're
it.
more than welcome. I like people who take
Absolutely.
an interest in my hometown.
Thank you.
Yeah, so everybody subscribe to the Garland Gazette and also pay attention to the League of Women Voters in Dallas. And also, if you need to safeguard your company secrets, please look up Very Vigilant Ventures.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you guys having me tonight. So much fun talking to you all.
Cheers.
Good to meet you, sweetheart.
It's been a pleasure and an honor, and I'm not going to lie, I'd vote for you. I've never voted for anybody, but I'd vote for you.
I'm not running for anything, but thank you.
Not,
oh yeah,
not
there's
yet.
GarlandGazette.com.
But
well, you know, the mayor of Garland is in position.
Yeah,
Do you hear me?
You have the presence. You have the presence of a leader.
I said the mayor of Garland is a musician.
Yes, he is. Yes,
Yeah,
he is. And
we seen him jam over there at the guitar show this year.
yes, that's right. So it is really fun, and you see him at a lot of the shows. You know, that's how I met the mayor, was really going to a lot of the city events.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely a change in Garland for the better. Because, like I said, I grew up there, and the police used to have a really nasty reputation. And I was a cruel dude, so you know, I didn't get along with them either. And I was one of those ones that questioned authority and did those type things, you know. But the one thing is I know about Garland is that I'm definitely proud to call it, you know, my home. I went to South Garland High School and I went to Lakeview.
Yes.
So, yeah, you know, and that was back in the 80s. I graduated in 81. So I'm an old man now, but, you know, I've been around for a while, but, you know, and I've been a lot of places, but I still, you know, Garland, this Dallas area and Garland area, we're right here in the east part of this part of Dallas is, you know, that's my home. So, you know, I really love to hear stories about, you know, about Garland and the things that, you know, because back in the day, Garland was like, Duck Creek was a very real, like, settlement thing. We're talking like in the 1800s. So, you know, it's been there for quite a while. And that Duck Creek and all that area where Garland High School is and all that. My dad went to Garland High School. And so, you know, that was something that Rick, we all got in common. Parents are from Garland, Dallas.
Yes.
So yeah, man, that's but like I said, that's really cool that you have taken an interest in Garland and chose to take and bring your family, you know, and y'all come here and live, because it's you know, I've always loved it. It's, even though, you know, I was a troublesome youth and the police knew me by my first name, you know, they eventually, you know, it was they respected me after after I grew up and quit giving them so much hell. But you know, that really you know, that really touches me though that you do that. I don't know how old you are, sweetheart, but I really do really like the what you've been talking about, and the Gazette thing is really a great idea. So I'm glad you took it over, you know, and didn't let something die that, you know, because somebody else couldn't do it no more.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I've had the chance already to learn so much about the city and meet so many cool people that are already here doing amazing things. And
yeah.
I hope to continue learning. I'm still learning about new businesses that I did and things that have been here forever that I just didn't even know were here.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, it's
Garland came around because of like the Second World War. You know what I mean? It got popular because all of the armament plants. I see the intercontinental ballistic missiles used to be built here in Garland. I think still some of the components were. And then there was places called like Barrow and all these other like technology companies, you know, that were here in Garland. And they had since, you know, moved like before TI was really TI, you know, they were out here in Garland. And then they moved over there off of 75. My grandmother used to be the secretary there. So yeah, man, that's growing up and seeing Garland grow as it's done and what it is now to compare to what it used to be as a far cry. You know, I mean, I never even realized that they would. I remember the first head shop, okay, that went in Garland was called Stash Box. And we were all afraid to go to it because the police would be sitting outside of it. So that's the way Garland used to be. It was pretty, back in my younger days, it was pretty Gestapo. But now, you know, it's really a lot of fun. I've met a lot of the police guys. They're all a bunch of good guys. You know, they all real understanding. I mean, you know, I've been fortunate enough to make, you know, new friends there.
We're just gonna fill you in. I say dope a lot.
But anyway, man, it's been good talking to y'all. Hope to see y'all out at the Hillbilly Throwdown, and I think we're going on the stage at like 4 o'clock, something like that. It's in the heat of the day, and I need to lose weight.
Shouldn't be too bad. We're hoping for upper 80s.
I think it's going to be nice. Heck, we've been swimming in the pool today, and you know, the water wasn't cold. It was really nice. So I hope we get good weather on the 31st. And until then, may the Lord bless you and keep you, and spread the love everywhere, baby. Bye.
There you go.